Welcome to S1 Build, LLC.
This is what we came to look at, all-wheel drive wagon. So today is December 27th. Jeff's birthday was yesterday. We promised him we would come in after Christmas and build this car. We have 3 days to do it. My daddy's in town, so I don't want to spend a whole week here. We want to get this car done, turned around, get it back to Jeff. It's automatic. We are going to convert it to a manual, of course. It's not going to be all-wheel drive because he doesn't have all-wheel drive parts. We're going to put the GSR front-wheel drive setup in it. Right now, all we're doing is putting a motor in and making it drive. Let's give it a wash, see what it looks like. Give us a nice place to start. Jeff has been collecting these parts over the last few months to try and make it a little easier. Engine and transmission he already owned. We did a timing belt, water pump, cap, rotor, wires, that kind of thing ahead of time a few months ago to try and make the whole preparation a little bit faster. Hopefully we can get this engine bolted in and get it running, and then he can decide what he's going to do with it, whether he's going to continue to work on it and build it or just sell it. Jeff is a bit of a car collector and kind of enjoys doing this. So GSR intake manifold we're taking off. We're putting this Skunk 2 manifold on there, taking the GSR throttle body off and changing it to an S2000 throttle body. This fan fits. This one doesn't. It's interfering with the lower outlet on the radiator. For this to line up, this has to go back to fit. So what I'm going to do is clearance this. If not, we're not going to get a hose on here. It's not going to push back far enough. We got to tell you, when you buy a car that's a shell, there's going to be a lot of things missing, and it's those type of little things that eat you up trying to find them. Well, we found a new filter that is still available from the parts store. It came with washers, but of course the banjo bolts are missing. The radiator supports, these are kind of a unique style. If you've ever seen them before, they're like a triangular shape. We're going to hunt around for those. The EGs are easy. It's just basically a flat tab with a kick in it. These are a bit more complicated. We can make them, but of course it's time consuming. Master cylinder, he has a used one. Slave cylinder is missing. He has a hydraulic line. We're going to make a hydro conversion. Or actually, we bought a plate. We have a few throttle cables to choose from, see if we can find one that matches up the best. A couple of fuel lines to go from the filter to the rail. That shouldn't be a big issue, but like I said, the banjo bolts are pretty important. They're not an easy thing to find, so once we figure those out, we'll let you know where you can get those, because obviously you're not going to find the stuff in the junkyard anymore. It isn't like the old days. When I first started LHT, I used to go to the junkyard and pull all kinds of parts because the cars were available then. Speedo drive from a hydraulic transmission, and it converts it into obviously an electrical pulse right here. We need the one for the cable, and it's probably one of the more complicated things to find. It looks like just this section right here, and it has a different cap on it. That's probably one of the hardest things So we've got Jeff out looking for that, and I'm going to add a few things to his list here in a minute, see if he can track them down. So we're converting this from auto to manual. Obviously we're getting rid of this pedal set. We have a whole pedal set to go in. Well, a couple of things that you got to do is to keep your safety switch right here. This can be wired into the center console, basically where the park reverse neutral. One thing to note, and this is something that I'm sure gets overlooked, this is the reservoir. Well, the hose right here that would come on the car is pretty short. We need it to be longer. This is the hose that we used for our CRX. It's a low pressure reservoir hose, and it is a special hose. If not, it'll break down with the brake fluid over time, especially this being in a difficult spot. You want to make sure you use the right stuff, and I would use these clamps too if they are in good shape. That way it keeps constant tension on that hose, as opposed to a worm clamp that you tighten it and then if over time it loosens its tension, you're gonna have a leak. You don't want that under the dash. So if I can find more of this hose, I'm gonna see about putting it in the store, because it is really tricky to get. These are 12 by 1.25, and the two places I went had 12 by 1.5, which obviously doesn't fit. So that is an ongoing thing. I've got Jeff on the case. He's searching around trying to find those as we speak. Did find these. These are like rare as can be. Radiator supports. Slave cylinder, we didn't have it. However, this is obviously a good brand. I'm a big fan of OEM, but we can't get OEM this quick. Right there's a part number, 25 bucks. You can't go wrong with that. Looks like a good quality piece.
You could
and
say
obviously,
we've had good luck in the past.
we've had good luck right now. There you go, there's the part number. So my buddy John, neighbor, always says he watches our videos and he can never find any part numbers, so we're going to try and remember to put those in videos future. This is similar to what we built on ours. This bolts to this pinion here, and then there is a hole that lines up with a pre-drilled hole for the alignment. To get the right travel, you got to drill the hole here. Don't use this over here, it's too far out, there's too much travel. I'll get a measurement for you, but it's about here. Yeah, I think it's like 1.5 inches from there. We tied ours in. Hopefully this will be beefy enough. It does have a brace there, but when we built ours, we tied it in to this mounting point in a couple of spots to make it a bit more rigid. This feels like it's pretty good. Really, it needs a bushing in here, but we haven't got the bushing. We cannot get one in time, so we're going to drill it to the size of the bolt so it's nice and tight. Then down the road, if it does start to click, we can drill it to the size over for the bushing and put the correct pin in there. But for today's purposes, so we can get this job completed, I was going to drill it. So not only is this a used piece, it's an aftermarket piece, so it's kind of like got two strikes against it. Never had good luck with the aftermarket brand, so it's kind of got a sticker over here. There it is. So this is buried into the dash. We talked about wanting to do it right. We're not going to do this twice, so I just ordered a new one of these from the same brand look. So hopefully we'll have good luck with it, but I'm sure Jeff will be alright with it. It is buried into the dash. You don't want to do it twice. So that'll work?
I don't think so. Try again.
Master. Cue the Master of Puppet soundtrack. So this is the Look brand, also known as FTEV. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and install that. We feel a whole lot better about this being new. One of the first issues running the AC fan, there's basically no room for it. That's as far as the radiator wants to go in. It's jammed in there. I'm not going to try and force it, but there's no room for that fan, which we've talked about in past videos. The motors have moved quite a bit further forward with the Hasport mounts. Obviously you can see how much room there is back here. AC fans removed. If it was to go in there, I think it'd be rubbing this bolt heavily, so in the event this car gets AC, it's going to need to have a pusher fan. I'm not sure with that crossmember AC would work anyway with a factory B series setup. Again, because the mounts, this mount kit drops the motor down a little further than the SIR and a little bit further forward, so you can kind of see how tight things are down here. So Jeff got this edge case exhaust for a Civic CRX. We thought it should be fairly close and we should be able to modify it to fit this chassis fairly easily. Well, it also had the tips that he was looking for. The only thing that really fit was the muffler. The piping in between was completely different. As you see, it kind of cuts the corner. So we used what we had. We put a high flow cat on there, which fits the factory GSR exhaust manifold. But we finished it in heat-proof paint, and then whatever wasn't heat-proof paint was stainless. So time to connect everything up, check it, make sure our wiring is correct. It didn't seem like it had a whole lot of gas in it, so we just went to the gas station, put some fresh Shell 93 in there so we know we have gas. And then we're cycling the key and we can hear the main relay click but don't hear a fuel pump. So we pull the fuel line just to visualize any fuel movement, which we're still getting a click, randomly click, which means the main relay is working but still no fuel, which this is one of the sad things about dealing with old Shells. So we dropped the tank and it's pretty much worse than we expected. The fuel pump is terrible, corrosion, there's a bunch of corrosion in the tank, and this stuff is just what happens when the gas is low and the car sit. So we cleaned the gas tank out as best as we can, cleaned all this assembly up, put a new fuel pump in, new fuel filter, and put it back together, and fingers crossed. Long term, it really does need a fuel tank. I think the sending unit's going to be pretty bad too, but fluids are in it now. We can go ahead and cycle it a couple of times, make sure we're getting fuel up front. We're letting it just come out the line just to start, just to make sure everything is working. Then we hook it to the new filter. Hopefully it'll start. Okay. Oh yeah. We now have fuel. All right, we just did a quick check. Everything is back together, coolant is in it. So one thing to note is the VTEC pressure, which is right here, was broken off on the motor. So right now it just has a stock ECU in, so I'll throw a code for that. Other than that, we should get an idea if it runs. We can turn that off in the hot data if need be. You ready to fire it? Might have to cycle it a couple of times to build that fuel pressure back up. But this is the first startup. We're not tricking you, we're not doing a pre-startup and then checking it. So it's kind of nice to see things even when they don't go as planned, like the fuel pump. I'm ready. There she goes. That surprised me. It started easier than I thought.
You don't even know anything about this engine?
No, this was the engine that Jeff bought. We kind of went through it, did a time belt water pump on it about a year ago, maybe longer, and then it sat in his garage while he decided what to do with it. So we obviously changed the insert manifold. We checked the injectors when it was here last time and cleaned them and double checked, make sure they flow well. This is a Monotech harness, by the way. First time, no chasing wiring, started right up. So intake's kind of noisy, but it'll quiet down when the idle valve closes. We did actually clean the idle valve when it was here last. We kind of cleaned it with WD-40. Hassport mounts. We're going to give you a list, by the way, if you want to tune in for the end. We're going to show you exactly what this cost. Parts, car, engine, just to give you an idea if you're thinking about buying a Shell and doing this yourself. Just to give you an idea of some of the pitfalls that you run into, some of the extra things that nobody wants to tell you about when you see these cars all finished up and shiny on Instagram. So it's got a little bit of a noise on this side. Okay, here's that alternator. One of the ways, pull the belt and double check it. One quick way to isolate one thing at a time. All right, let's try that. Let's do it live.
The battery light was off, so it was working.
Yeah, might just have a bad bearing in it. Now what? I didn't hear the fuel pump. didn't hear the fuel
Main
pump.
relay may be wonky.
So if you hear that second click. There it is.
It's wonky. It just clicked a bunch of times.
Did it? Alright. That's how it noise. So that there has a bad bearing in it. Not the end of the world. So main relay is a little bit wonky. We can put the JDI relay in there. That'll fix that issue. He's probably going to have to put an alternator in it. But for the most part, the thing runs. Let's put the alternator belt back on. We haven't checked the drivetrain.
Yeah.
We're going to make sure to run that. I'll put the belt on if you want to put the JDI main relay in there. And then we'll check it. So the seat is out right now just because we have the whole pedal assembly out. Alright, moment of the truth. Let's see if first gear goes first. Actually, let me go up a little bit. Hold on. I know we're a long way from the floor, but just to be sure. Ready? Ooh, look at that. It's not going very fast. Oh, there we go.
Speed up.
Wow, look at that. There is so many things that are working right off the get-go. Check engine light, if somebody wants to point that out real quick. You got a check engine light, bro? Yes, because it has the VTEC pressure code, which is a code 22. It still has our test ECU down there. You see that? Chips. Yep. Our test ECU. Chipped, yo. I don't know if it's a Mugen chip, Spoon chip, Catman chip. Any of you guys old enough to remember all those guys? Alright. We're in good shape. We can put the seat in. We'll test it. We've got to bleed it out a little bit more. It just sucked a bit more coolant down. But we are pretty good. So this is the quick list as we've been going. Whatever we had to buy, we've been writing on here and writing it down. That's exactly what we've paid for this stuff. And obviously we're charging Jeff by the hour. We are giving him a discount on the rate, but parts, whatever we buy, he's paying. And he has a laundry list of his own. So this is one of the reasons why if you contact us and you say, hey, I want to bring my project car and drop it off and bring a moving van full of boxes and you guys fix it. It's not that we can't do this, it's just time consuming. It's something that we can't put a time frame on, so it's hard to calculate and schedule this stuff. This is a Miata battery, by the way. It's just got to be fastened down, but one thing, it gives you a lot more room. We made this sort of fit with a Honda battery, but the Miata battery so much cleaner. There's a lot more room in this engine bay anyway. So few little things he's going to have to do. Gas tank, I would probably buy a gas tank if he can find one. The pump mechanism is good now. That's pretty much it. Passport mounts, we did the hydro conversion. This is one of the old school Skunk 2 intake manifolds, better than the GSR. A quickie intake we made. HKS exhaust, Hoyo radiator. That's pretty much it. A lot of work, 3 days of 2 of us doing pretty much 8-hour days, and this thing's ready to go. It's ready for him to drive home. Resto tuna Ben. Taillight gaskets, right?
It looks like.
And then this right here. This is a perfect time because EF stuff is right up this guy's alley. He does a lot of reproduction stuff.
Look at this.
Oh, look at that.
S2000 fuse box.
That's awesome. Nice.
And that envelope is thick too, whatever that envelope is.
It's full of money. And then, oh, look at these. How long have we been talking about the gold Honda bolts that they no longer offer? That is so sweet. That is terrific. Fantastic. So check out his site. This is obviously by surprise, but this is the kind of stuff that we want. I'm bouncing the camera around here. And the kind of stuff that you guys want if you're watching our channel. You're a Honda guy and you have a partial to the EF stuff. Is it a Christmas card?
I don't know. I know this guy does make a lot of stuff. He has the sunroof gaskets and stuff for the EFs in reproduction now, and taillight gaskets. Lots more decals.
Sweet. Look at that. This is the stuff that you cannot find because it gets obliterated over the years.
Yes, that's the little fuse box and the S2000. Coolant reservoir ring for the overflow. Premium fuel tag.
I almost want to save this. I'm thinking about putting it up on our memory wall right here. What do you think? Should I put it up there? You still got tons of headroom in there. Even with that seat, those seats are really really high.
Yeah.
You got tons of headroom. Does it work?
Yeah.
Look how high this thing is. That is nuts. It was high when it came in because I thought it was just, obviously not having a motor is that high, but it's still high.
Back on the run didn't ever matter what, right?
Yeah, it used to just go back on its own whether that was plugged in or not. You know what, is it the switch down here?
It might be because it doesn't recognize that the doors are open either.
No. I bet this is bad. We got heat, right? I can feel it from here.
Yeah.
All right.
Back. I don't know if it did it automatically.
Let me get the Honda program so we can turn off that VTEC oil pressure. You ready? No, that don't work either. No. Might be one of these switches. That's all right.
This didn't work either.
No. Might be a coincidence. Might be a fuse. All right, you wire up that VTEC pressure. I mean the VTEC. No, are you supposed to wire up the safety, the clutch safety? Why am I talking on camera? All right, I spoke too soon. It's not finished. The water didn't want to circulate. Just ordered a new thermostat and gasket. It's just slowly warming up and not circulating water. Top hose is hot. Bottom hose is lukewarm. So now we've got to let it cool down and put one of these guys in it. Are you ready?
Yep.
It's going to cascade out here. This thing looks white and crusty like it's been in here forever. There it goes. Alright, round two, new thermostat. We just got to let it heat up, circulate. Hopefully that thermostat opens and we'll be in good shape. Do we check the lights?
Yeah.
Okay, you want to hit them on real quick? Look at that. That's always a bonus. Alright, you're going to shift it with a manual, the automatic shifter, or the...
It's still in park. We're going to see how it goes.
Okay, don't worry about that.
It's moving. That's good.
Yeah. Brake lights work. I'm surprised all the lights work. So the camera makes it look like it's bright out here. It's actually dark. You can see the sun setting over there. So we can confirm that the thermostat fixed our issue. Now the water circulates and it holds consistent temperature. So we are in good shape. Oh, listen how quiet that is. Just did a brake check. Always good to do that. Wow, this thing came in on a tow truck. We picked the motor up Tuesday morning, and there it is, Thursday, 6/11. Nice. Sounds like it works.
VTEC works.
I heard it.
Have to check that.
Yeah. Sweet. Everything feel good?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's bouncy, but I feel like it's lifted.
It does feel, it does, I feel like it's higher than it should be.
Does it still look high?
It looks way high. Yeah, it looks way it looks like you could take it off-road.
I bet it fails the shoot test.
I'm sure.
Yep.
Yeah, you could put your leg in there. There it is, Jeff. You living it?
Ready for rally cross.
There it is. There's like so many lights that flash.
They got a flash.
There's one that stays on. There's plenty of flashing stuff. But you know what? There's no check engine light.
Nope.
You know what? I can deal with a... does that one go off when you plug your seatbelt in or no?
No, I tried that.
That's the beeping. It's the seatbelt, Jeff. It's not the transmission. That's the beeping. Yeah, it's not the transmission.
Check the fuses and stuff for this and see if they're bad.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what's that'll make the beeping go away. It's not the transmission flashing. even though it's got a green light, which means it's okay. More flashing lights. So the battery light just came on. We said the alternator was a little sketchy, so you got every flashing light that you could get. But the motor is good. It's the next morning. Jeff has an alternator, and it is the right one. Just so you guys know, there's two different plugs here. You can get either a round plug or a square plug. 94, 95 is round, 96 and up is square. So Jeff managed to get that first thing. Still looks like a swap shop in here, and smells like a swap shop. Or as George said, smells like a
lawnmower repair shop.
Yeah. This we might have to lose this, Jeff. Oh, do you want to just leave it on for the time being?
If we gotta lose it, we'll lose it.
It's kind of a shame that it's in good shape, but it does droop.
Yeah.
And it's rubbing now a brand new powder coated valve cover. We'll take it off carefully, and then if you end up selling this thing, we'll just put that in the trunk so somebody can have it back. It could be glued up. This is just pretty common. Alright.
Check the starter wire. I think it's off again.
Yeah, it is.
We need to give it a little bump with the wire.
Let me go ahead and do that now because it keeps popping off. The light go out? Nice. Everything's good now, so if you keep watching, I'm going to put a list on the screen of everything that went into this. Just parts, basically money out of pocket. I'm not going to put the labor in there. That way, if you're interested in this, because I don't know with Jeff. Jeff's got 6 or 7 cars, and he's talking about thinning out his collection again. If you're interested in this, I'll put Jeff's information on there. You can get a hold of him on Instagram. It's original paint. It's a little dinged up. It's more than dinged up, it's dented up. But it's not destroyed. It's got a couple of flashing lights on the dash, the seatbelt beeping, and then of course put a manual cluster in. It'll take care of that. Honda S300, brand new alternator. Right now, George, the alternator has 0 miles on it.
Yeah.
0 mile alternator. And it's probably got a lifetime warranty. You know what that's like. You go to the parts store, they'll keep replacing it as long as you're alive. But there it is. That's got to go back. All-wheel drive wagon. 2-wheel drive conversion with a GSR. But best of all, it's hydraulic. Hydraulic transmission. So if you want this, turn it into a race car, turn it into an all-wheel drive car. Whatever you want to do.
Put your CRV transmission in it and put that slave cylinder right on there and everything's going to work.
Yeah, that's true. So if you guys interested, Jeff ordered some banjo bolts off Amazon that came with this fit in here that looks like it has an 1/8 NPT on there. Well, these came in late, so it did end up chasing around and finding a set of banjo bolts. Obviously we got the fuel line finished, but this is one of those little things that add up. And again, this is one of the reasons we don't take on this kind of project. I tend to shy away from shells just because when they look complete, there's a whole bunch more missing you don't realize, and it can put you in a time crunch. Not to mention they nickel and dime you to death. You can easily spend a couple of $1,000s on little pieces you didn't realize. So this is our S2000. It's a 2008 with 21,000 miles. We have shown it on the channel, but we're now starting to work in it. We have some plans not only in the power department but in the cosmetic department. I'll show you more on that, but subscribe to the channel and you won't miss a video when we post it. These are parts that's going on our S2000. If you're curious or even a little bit interested, go ahead and subscribe, hit the like, hit the share, all that good stuff. We'll see you on the next video.